you've got to be quiet. Because as I told the kids in the little kid table, what I want you to do is close your eyes. And think back at a time long ago. There was no cell phones. There was no iPads. No, none of these things. The only fun, no video games. The only fun a child could have.
Shut your eyes.
Was in the outdoors. So keep your eyes closed and look at a big cornfield. And the corn is rolling and rolling. And way up over the hill is a place called Blackberry Holler. Now this field was roamed by a mischievous little group of kids, and one of them was Skeeter. And we were always getting into trouble. So Skeeter said to us one day, let's go to Blackberry Holler. Because they've been talking about the wild dogs. And we'll go up there and we'll play a trick on Mama. So off we ran, and the sun was shining on us, running through the cornfield. That corn was hot. We crawled up to that blackberry holler, and in the middle of that blackberry holler was a big oak tree that leaned over the pond. We climbed up on that old limb, and Skeeter looked at us. Boy, he was a troublemaker. We said, Skeeter, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to holler wolf. What do you mean holler wolf? We're going to scream that the wild dogs are getting us. Everybody's been talking about it. So we climbed up in that tree, and we began to holler. Help! 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 We hollered and hollered. Help! Help! And we's a-laughing and a-hollered and a-hollered and a-laughing. And we looked down through that cornfield, and here come the oldest station wagon you ever seen, with the windows rolled out and the top a-flapping, and Miss Brown hanging out the window going, I'm coming to get you! I'm coming to get you! Well, I think I about peed on myself. And she come up and ran that old station wagon into that blackberry holler. We fell out of that tree a-laughing. And what do you think she did to us? Well, she loaded us up in that old station wagon, took us back down to the house, and we got the worst screaming and the hooting and yelling we'd ever had. And another day passes. And we're sitting on the porch, we're all kind of sad the next day, and who comes along? Oh, Skeeter. That's right. What are we going to do today, Skeeter? Well, we're going back up to Blackberry Holler. I know them wild dogs are up there. And I love teasing Miss Brown. So close your eyes again and think of that cornfield. Man, it was hot yesterday, but man, was it hot today. And we were laughing the whole time running through that corn. We crawled up on that big old limb. Help! Help! The dogs are getting us! Help!
Let me guess, Mrs. Brown comes in?
No, Mrs. Brown. Nobody comes. Well, we get down off of that tree and we're just a-laughing and a-cutting up. And we start walking to Mr. Old McAmer's barn. And you got to close your eyes again because you got to think of this barn. Man, was it big. Big 2 stories, about 300 bales of hay in it, and a big old pulley in the top with a rope hanger down. You could grab that rope from that top of that silo and take a big run, and you'd fly like the angels laying in the hay. And that's where we were headed. And we got halfway through that cornfield when Skeeter turned around and says, "What'd you hear?" Well, I didn't hear nothing. hear a rustle in the cord. You began to see the cord move a little bit, like something was shaking it. Oh my Lord, Skeeter! It's them dogs that coming after us! And we began to running towards that barn. We ran straight to that silo and climbed all the way up top that silo. Now, nobody's ever seen a silo before. They're a big old concrete circle. And they hold silage. This one had about 3 feet of silage in the bottom of it. And it was completely empty. And you climb and you climb and you climb. And we got way to the top. And we looked down. There's about 4 of the meanest dogs you ever saw getting ready to eat us up. Where was Skeeter? He's on top of the silo going, help! 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 And dogs are going to get us! And he yelled. And he yelled.
And nobody came.
Nobody came. So we climbed over the top of the silo. And we began to climb down on the inside. And there was a little board with a little hole where the chute, where the silage would come out.
Tell them what silage is.
Silage is old rotten corn feed. And it stunk. Like old rotten apples.
I've never smelled a
We're walking in it, mushing in it. Pop that board out and we look. We stick our head out and we look. There ain't no dogs. So we start to climb out of that hole. About the time we climb out of that hole, get ready to put the board back up. Them dogs is gonna eat us. They were right behind us the whole time. And then over the corner of the field was an old concrete water trough. This trough was used to feed the cattle. And that cattle in it in a long time. And think of a big square water trough. And it's full of green yuck.
Ew.
And it's got reeds growing out of the top of it. And it's so thick if you throw a rock in it, it just kind of bubbles.
You guys jumped in it.
We had to. We had no choice because the dogs was a-coming. We jumped straight into that water trough and stuck our heads down in it, held our breath. Skeeter said, grab a reed. So we grabbed them reeds and stuck them up through the water, trying to breathe so the dogs wouldn't see us. The whole time we're holding that reed up. Them dogs are digging down in the water trying to get us. And then it got real quiet. When it must have seemed like days to us. But about that time the water opened up and something reached down in the water. It was old Mr. McAmer. What are you boys doing up here in my barn? Get the hell out of here! And we run to this day. We're still running. That's a true story.
You never scared me once.
In the old station wagon, Aunt Fran was there. Aunt Becky was there. Aunt Jennifer was there. And there was Barbara there. And Margaret there. And Foy was there. And Skeeter was there. And I was there. There was about 15 of us in that station wagon. We pulled it up to the edge of the woods and we began to walk over to see the gypsies. They had 2 wagons tilted together and a big old fire going, playing the tambourines, sitting around, singing songs. And we walked right into the kept. Walked right up.
In the tent. They had a tent.
Well, lo and behold, we kind of interrupted whatever their doings were doing and got into a lengthy, mean discussion. And we got scared. And we began to run. And it was either your Aunt Fred or maybe your Aunt Rebecca that ran plumb out of her tennis shoes.
And I never did find my shoes.
Never did find those shoes.
No, I was running so fast I lost my shoes. And what did you run into?
That was the time that I think I ran into the barbed wire.
Oh, right here.
Yeah. And if you look right here, I have 18 stitches.
Angelina.
And there's a single string of barbed wire all the way around that man's field. And when I hit that barbed wire going about 185 miles an hour, I did a complete 360, still on my feet, and that barbed wire just raked my throat wide open. They said in another quarter inch I wouldn't be standing here today. But I kept running and running. That's the story of the gypsies.
And that was true. Yeah, well, what about you got your belt and held yourself up in a tree with your belt because the gypsies were after you? That was another time.
That was another story.
The gypsies come in.
Well,
Don't spoil it.
I'm not.
the next year, the gypsies came back. We didn't go with the girls. We made plans with Skeeter to go by ourselves. And we came prepared with a pocket full of firecrackers, our bow and arrows, to play havoc on the gypsies. And they were inside their tent singing and a-dancing and a-dancing and a-singing. And Skeeter has an idea. He says, if we get one of these big old cherry bombs and take that out on a bow and arrow and shoot it into that tent, that's liable to scare them to death. Well, it did a little more than what we thought. And we lit that cherry bomb, and Skeeter shot it, went straight through the top of the tent, blew up, and the tent started on fire like no man's business. And here they come, running out like ants out of an anthill, chasing us through the woods. And I swear, I think they were still a-singing. And we crawled up trees, we crawled over fences. And I found an old pine tree, and I climbed up that pine tree, because I was plumb scared to death. And that's when I took my belt off, and I wrapped it around a limb, and tied it up again. And I slept in that tree all night long.
And that's a true story.
That's a true story.